Today, on Valentine's Day, we head back into the deep dark forest that is the Ethereum mempool. Now, if you guys are new around here, we've been diving into this particular concept, which in my opinion is one of the most important and pressing concepts in the entire blockchain industry right now. And I do believe here on Crypto YouTube, I have been one of the first and only people to show you how to navigate this space. Today, we're talking about what happens to your transactions before they get written into the blockchain and the absolute war that goes on taking advantage of innocent users like you, and how if you're smart, you can make money off of all of this. If you guys are excited to hear about miner extractable value, MEV, and how it can benefit you in the short term, midterm, and long term, then go ahead, destroy that like button, because today we go back into the dark forest and I show you what the big brains are really doing. Go ahead, destroy those likes. Remember that each and every comment below this video is entered to win your own hardware wallet. Of course, if you guys like learning about trends like this, which we'll show you we covered months ago, helping you get ahead and stay ahead of this game, then go ahead and subscribe, because we're bringing you the best information in the space each and every day here on the channel. With that said, as always, remember there are scammers pretending to be me in the comments. It is not me. And of course, don't send money to anyone on the internet. With that said, let's dive in. First of all, massive excitement here as Bitcoin shatters $49,000 on its way to the holy land of 50K. I do believe this makes us one double up away, a single 100% move away from the hallowed land of 100,000 that nobody thought we would get to. But yeah, it turns out not only are we going to get there, but I believe we're going to get there in style, as we have some of the biggest banks, companies, and investors, most brilliant minds in the world now waking up to what Bitcoin really is. It's a beautiful time to be in crypto, and Bitcoin fundamentally provides a liquidity floor for innovations that happen on Ethereum and DeFi, NFTs, and beyond. So this is a fantastic, fantastic base layer of wealth here in the industry that will fuel the next generation of innovation. Speaking of which, we have Ethereum, the king of all smart contracts platforms, chilling here above $1,800. We've been telling you since $200 this thing is going to keep on going. It's been slow and steady. I've been expecting a little more fireworks, but Ethereum is now becoming institutionalized a little bit like Bitcoin, and that is good for the long-term valuation. But here at $200 billion, we're seeing that the gas fees are starting to become a true crisis. So let's go in and start talking about what happens on Ethereum with your transactions, why the fees are so high. Not just why the fees are so high, but what's happening while you're putting your transaction in and bidding on that space within the Ethereum blockchain. Ethereum is like prime Los Angeles real estate. Everyone wants to live there. Everyone wants to be right there in the best area. And that's why the property is so expensive. And people say, well, because it's so expensive, it's going to become unusable. But the reality is that that's not true, because the big whales, the big brains here are still wanting their assets on Ethereum. The security model for Ethereum is still the best. The actual long-term vision for Ethereum, like Bitcoin, is still the strongest. Even though the gas fees are really high right now, there are resolutions coming to work through that. And so right now, even though Ethereum is cripplingly expensive, it's kind of just like a crowded city that's really expensive to live in. It doesn't mean that the city's going away. If anything, it just means that there's higher value players and more valuable transactions going on there. And so we need to understand this Ethereum gas crisis isn't going to ruin Ethereum. It's actually opening up all kinds of new industries within the mempool, within what we call the dark forest. So let's venture in right now into a concept called MEV, or miner extractable value. This is huge for you to understand. For a lot of you, it's going to be a lot of new information. You just need to understand that this is what's happening. So as a primer for this, before I tell you what my big bets are on how I'm going to negotiate through this, I'm just going to say that we are going to return first and foremost to the dark forest. So what you guys need to know right now is that before transactions are written to the Ethereum blockchain, they go into something called the mempool, which is a digital limbo where detection means death. This is a little, artsy the way this is written. But the point here is that there is an area like a limbo that your transaction goes to before it ends up on the blockchain when it says pending. And that means that miners are deciding when to write your transaction, but they're getting a ton of bids every single millisecond, and they're picking the highest bidder as the one that they're going to write to the blockchain. So as you put your transaction out there, other people can now see see what your transaction is and do what's called front running. So essentially it can render your transaction useless or failed. And whenever your transaction fails, that gas still gets eaten up by the miners. There is a predatory game going on here. More importantly, people can front run you to buy things like, say, on Uniswap, drive up the price so that you buy at a higher price, your transaction comes in after theirs, and then they can sell it into you. There's a lot of weird stuff going on here where the real big brains, the real predatory users of the blockchain are taking advantage of average users like you and me. But once you understand the rules of the game for this dark forest, you understand that the game can fundamentally be turned into a profitable game if you're learning to play with what were called the keepers. Now, the keepers are the predators. If you want to transition from prey to predator, you need to learn to play their game. And that is why we introduced you to KeeperDAO, or Rook, who is the first mover in trying to allow normal people like you and me to participate in the keepers game. Of course, KeeperDAO refers to all of these apex predators that are taking advantage of the normal users. They're actually trying to get them all in line, get them all on the same team so that they can extract the maximum amount of value from this activity. Now, does this end the front running? No. But does this let you profit from it in an indirect way? Yes. And KeeperDAO is really brilliant the way it's set up. Now, I have to claim a little bit of clout here because, as you can see, I brought you a KeeperDAO video at $66, and this was back on December 21st. I called this as being one of the most important innovations on the blockchain, and this was actually as the chart was almost at its ultimate low back in December before it picked up into the right. Right now, as we speak, KeeperDAO's Rook token is trading for $700. That's over 10x growth from where we covered it just 2 months ago, and I do believe that this project still has gas left in the tank. If you want a full breakdown of how KeeperDAO uses game theory to take all of the apex predators and get them playing on the same team, the reason is that essentially when two apex predators are competing to exploit you, they end up running up the gas. And if they run up the gas too high, they eat away at their own profits. So if they all coordinate and play together and take turns exploiting the mempool, then they can make more money. And so essentially they use game theory to get everyone on the same side. And even though you're probably not going to be able to figure out how to do this yourself, you can just own KeeperDAO. You can essentially make indirect benefits from people adopting this system. Now, I was right in believing that this thing would go on a massive run from where I found it back at $20 million market cap, and I do believe that it still has a lot of gas left in the tank. The reason why I believe that is, well, we just got word that none other than KeeperDAO is joining Alameda/FTX, who has listed it on spot and perpetual futures markets. Now, if you guys don't know who Sam Bankman-Fried is, he's the young super billionaire and founder of the FTX exchange, which has multi-billion-dollar daily volume. He's also a huge big brain in the DeFi space. He acquired SushiSwap, he's done Solana, he's done Serum. He's really monopolizing in some ways this DeFi space, and he went in heavily on Rook within the last few days, buying 42,800 Rook to be precise, which translates to a casual $30 million or thereabout. And we see the official announcement here of FTX adding Rook on its perpetual futures, adding it to the exchange for spot and futures trading. And you can see here 0x Infinitum is saying up. You can see here their crypto messiah, also known as 0x Infinitum, who actually was the one who put me on to Rook, is saying up. There's another coin in this industry of minor extractable value called ArcherDAO, or Arch. Now, they have a partnership with Sushi, which is also partnered or owned really by Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX, and people are saying that this might be a threat to Rook. The reality is that Rook is a first mover, and the way it's set up is designed to monopolize the space. And so I do agree here with Messi that Rook has a bit of a monopoly on this minor extractable value, this particular angle on the industry, which, as we know, as miner fees have skyrocketed, is becoming more and more valuable by the day. Some of the small fish might complain about transaction fees, but they're missing the fact that the miner industry is becoming a multi-billion dollar business, and it might become worth hundreds of billions or trillions of dollars in the future. Minor extractable value is massive, and it is here right now establishing insane market value. And many of you didn't believe me here when I covered Rook at $66, you waited. But the reality is that this isn't going away, and it's just gotten validated on the big stage by FTX with a $30 million buy. And in my humble opinion here at $236 million, there is still a lot of room left for this to grow. I see this as easily $2,000, easily $1,500, but to be honest, in a massive bullish blow-off movement, I could see this reaching the thousands and thousands of dollars. Rook to me is a fantastic project from a tech perspective, perspective, and I do believe it has a lot of upside still in the tank. This is a fascinating project. I'm going to link you to my video where I cover everything about how Rook works, the different types of game theory involved for allowing for these apex predators, these keepers, to extract maximum value from the normie users like me and you, and how you can profit from it just by owning the Rook token. I think it's utterly critical you learn about the topic. It'll expand your understanding of blockchain, how it works, and it'll also help draw you into what I believe is one of the most important new industries within this emerging altcoin and blockchain space. With that said, guys, I tried to get people to leave their ETH addresses on yesterday's video, but I was getting a lot of people saying that they couldn't actually leave the comment, and there were very few comments that actually contained an ETH address. So I think YouTube was censoring that for some reason. So go ahead and leave your comments. I'm going to link this Twitter post. It's right here on my Twitter. We already have 8.7K comments here. There's only a few hundred NFTs, but go ahead, leave your comments below this particular tweet, and we'll pick from our community in the fairest way possible. I wanted to go to the Elio Trades community, all the NFTs. So leave your address here and make sure you put in your bid on OpenSea on Monday, and we'll go through these addresses and we'll accept bids from the community. That's how this is going to work. I'll try to get all the ETH addresses that were on that video, but make sure you put them here on this tweet because YouTube is trying to stop everyone's bags once again. Now, I'd also really appreciate if you guys showed some love to this tweet because we also had Chamath, who just came out yesterday as an NFT bull. We want Chamath in our ecosystem here. He is, in my opinion, one of the most brilliant minds in the entire world. And the fact that he's already warmed to NFTs means that I believe he should be extremely warm to what we're doing at Super Farm DAO. So if you guys don't mind going and giving me some retweet love, showing this tweet some love, let's go ahead and catch Chamath's attention, hopefully, so we can bring him into the most disruptive and forward-looking NFT project in the entire space. I appreciate you guys for all the support here. This is just madness. 8.8K, 3.2K likes. It really shows just how powerful this movement is. And I just want to say thank you guys again because it's about to be fireworks here in the next few days. So thank you guys so much. So we traveled again into the dark forest of Ethereum's mempool, and we talked about, in my opinion, the most important project in this space, which is KeeperDAO's Rook. We told you at $66, and we're telling you again at 700 that things are really starting to heat up for this project. I do believe that Rook hits $1,000. I do believe that it hits $2,000, and I'm not sure exactly when that's going to happen, but I believe that by investing in fundamentally the most important technologies in the space, holding on and waiting for them to do their thing is absolutely the way to maximize profits in this industry. And I sincerely hope if you guys have been riding the Rook train with me that you're a believer just like I am, that this is insanely disruptive for blockchain. Of course, I understand the frustration about Ethereum gas fees, but also understand that those gas fees pave the way for entirely new industries and capital markets like Rook. With that said, if you guys enjoyed learning about the Ethereum mempool, about Rook, about miner extractable value, there's some tangential projects like ArcherDAO, which we covered before, which is kind of like an eBay for transactions on the blockchain. Miner extractable value is getting really hot. Though I do believe Rook is going to dominate the space, this is something that you need to know about, as I believe just like DeFi, just like NFTs, this is a sector of the blockchain industry that is going to absolutely explode because there's so much money in it and more by the day. With that said, if you guys enjoyed this, please smash up those likes. And of course, remember, each and every comment on this video is entered to win your own hardware wallet. As always, we're doing this show each and every day, bringing you the best information in the space. And if that's of value to you, I highly encourage you to subscribe and put that bell notification on so you're made aware of things like Rook when we published them back in December, where you could have gotten that 10x gain. And you'll be made aware of the newest and most exciting coins in the space each and every time we put a video out. With that said, my name's Elio Trades. I thank you so much for watching. You can find me on Telegram or Twitter. The links for both of those are in the description. I'd really appreciate it again if you showed those tweets some love. My Twitter is linked in the description, as I said. My name's Elio Trades. I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon on the next episode.